Hello and welcome to the DC United Kingdom podcast. As you can see, it's season 2, episode 8, and I've got it wrong first time, damn it. Over on this side, I've got John from RFK Refugees for the first time ever. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
That's all right. How are you doing?
You know, it's interesting to do a podcast after the day after I did a podcast, and then the day before I'm going to do something on IG Live. So I think that if you happen to watch all of these things, I'm sorry because I'm probably gonna retread ground.
There's a lot of content to consume right now. There's so many games though, isn't there? So we've got to do something in between and to keep ourselves busy, haven't we?
Right. Yeah. I think I said on the show and on Twitter, like our show has become like group therapy for the longtime hardcore. It's all of the casuals have melted away. Anyone who came for Wayne Rooney has found anything else to do with their time. So we're what's left. So let's just get through this together, all of us.
Absolutely. So, in terms of this show, anyway, it's been a little while. I think it's been 11 days since the last episode came out, so apologies for that. Mental week last week. Had decorators around, so this place doesn't look quite as good as it does now. It was just, everything was everywhere. It was just mental, so no time for that. But we're back.
There's a much smaller couch before, right? They've expanded the couch. It's getting bigger.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it was only a one-seater couch. Right. Now it's a three-seater. It's great. Recliners, which are tip-top. Only downside is because of the time of the games over here, if I recline, I'm straight asleep.
It's over. It's over for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was, is it Cheyenne who said in one of her videos on Instagram, if you go horizontal, you lose. So, yeah, just can't do that.
That's that one.
Exactly. So, on this show, I like to do some reviews and match previews and all that. And it's been 3 games since the last one. And that's 3 games in 8 days. So they've come thick and fast. As we all know, the MLS restart has been a bit mental. So I'm going to go through game by game with you, John. And let's start off with that FC Cincy game, which is the only game we got a point from. A 0-0 draw. If you can cast your mind back to it, how did you feel after that game?
Let's try to find that headspace. I was disappointed because when I looked at the schedule, the FC Cincinnati game was the only one I tagged for a win. And then when we didn't, and also didn't really threaten, I was a bit concerned by the way the rest of the schedule was going to go. And wouldn't you know it, that was borne out. But yeah, I mean, I think, and this will be a point that we talk about in each of these games, that the bright side basically are who are playing that may not have played in the past. And sort of the young players that are getting an opportunity. Other than that, it's pretty dark and dire. There's not really a lot of upside on the offensive side. Yep. Defense is getting worse. So, yeah, I'm trying to remember specifically from that game. I know that Cincy hit the post in the last 5 minutes. I believe I recall that happening.
Yes. Yep. That was a scary moment.
That was the almost goal. Pines hit the bar, I think, in the first half.
Correct.
But other than that, I mean, it was unnotable. It was notable only in the fact that it got us a point. Everything else about it was very forgettable, which I've done a lot of.
Let me run through some of the points that I took from that game. So it was the first one we had for this season, a 3-5-2 formation. Even though I know we spoke about it on when you did your Instagram live at halftime, it looked even odder than that when the graphics came out because it looked like it was 3-2-3-2. It's like that just
innovative.
I think,
and also
it was, and I went on, I think it was episode 13 I did with James Lambert. Some things were said, and I mentioned, why don't we try a new formation? I'm just going to put my hands up on that. I think that's thanks to me that we trying this new formation. And the fact that at the start of the game, which we've noticed over the last 3 games, we've started with a lot of pressure, which is nice. It's just a shame it doesn't last for 90 minutes.
Yeah, there's some physical limitations there, I think, that we run into. But you're right. For the first 30 minutes of a game, usually you used to turn it off after about 15.
Yeah.
And sometimes we've stretched it out a little bit longer. But at one point, eventually, you have to stop, and then the other team will make an adjustment, and then what? And if you haven't scored, which we usually haven't, problems.
Things do look a little bit hairy. But I think the Cincy game was, so far, out of the 3 games, has been the best performance, I want to say. Because Cincy, they've looked good, which is weird to say because they were awful last season. But Yap Stam, has he done a good job, and is he the real Yap Stam?
Sorry, that's a good question. I think, I remember after the game saying, was our defense good or was their offense horrible? And I don't know. I still can't tell you. Based on the way the next two games went, maybe their offense was really bad.
Yeah.
But I think it was a game we learned almost nothing out of, right? I think that we learned no lessons that bore out in the next two games. And other than we figured out that we are allowed to play other formations, they will let you do that. We found that out. That's pretty much all I took from it, and except for the point.
Well, Paredes made his first DC start. That was a good thing.
Yep.
And he looked good. Pines made his first start for 12 months. Gressel finally looked good. Well, I thought he looked good anyway. He was putting good balls into the box.
Yep.
Which is what we pay him to do.
Yep.
So on that sense, and as you rightly said at the start there, Pines got a header which hit off the bar, which was so close. I want to see him celebrate, run over to the coaching staff again like he did against Minnesota.
Yeah, he deserves it. I mean, I think that the fact that we are more likely to score on a set piece than we are from open play. Yeah, there's a good. I mean, that's why we have co leading scorer Fred Briant still. Pines, I mean, he's going to get starts here, it appears, and I know some of this is injury based, but he played one game, I believe the next one before there were any injuries to Briant or Birnbaum. So I think Ben, in his heart of hearts, and maybe even in conversations with the GM, you got to play these kids and figure out what you got, because this season may not be what you want it to be.
Yeah, it's definitely not what we want it to be, is it?
Right, it's
not. Cheyenne's actually just commented on YouTube. It's just saying it was a mix of both. Not sure which both. Maybe could you clarify for that for us, Cheyenne? It's, as you already said, the youth have to start now. The season's gone.
Yeah,
I don't truly believe we'll make the playoffs this season.
No, even with 10 teams. Even with 10 teams out of the East, I don't think that we will. I don't even want us to. To be honest with you, it's weird. There's no benefit for us going and then getting paced in the first game again.
Yeah,
because it gives you a false readout of what this team is and what needs to be done. If you miss the playoffs on a 10-team playoff, that tells you what's up. That tells you really need to rethink what you're going. Almost every team made it and you didn't, and why is that? So. And you could say injuries, but everyone gets injuries.
Exactly. It's how you manage it, isn't it? And how good your squad depth is. Because right now,
we're testing that.
It's properly testing it. So that was pretty much it for the Cincy game. Shine's just said, bad offense for DC, good defense for FC Cincinnati.
Yeah, both ways. I think
vice versa.
Yep, I think we matched up. It was a yin yang situation of good and bad for sure for both teams.
No, absolutely. So next game we had up was against New England Revolution, back at Audi Field for the first time since March the 7th, I think it was.
Game, right? The Miami game.
Yeah, the last time we won a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we got beat by the Revs 2-1. But it was the first team goal since the previous game against the New England Revolution in Orlando.
That's not great.
No, it's not great at all. Key things from that one, it was a penalty from Kamara, so it was another goal from set play.
How did you feel about that when he stepped up? I know that when I watched, I'm always wary when a player obviously needs to score and is like, has the weight of the universe on his shoulders, and he figures, I've got to get this one so the next one comes. But at the risk of sort of karma crushing him, he took a nice penalty. But I usually think, I feel like I have a better than average sense of things when somebody steps up. I feel like I call him pretty well. I was like, nope, missing this, and then he calmly slotted it. So that's good for him. Great. It didn't lead to any more progress elsewhere, but at least he's off the schneid. He's scored a goal.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I was kind of happy he was willing to take it, and it shows that despite the lack of goals, he still has the confidence to do it. I think that was a good sign. Whether he's the main penalty taker, I think it's Yamil Assad, I think is our main taker. So whether he had an influence in that decision as well, saying, look, you need a goal, take it. I think for the time, I think it was the right man. And as you rightly said, it was a nice penalty tucked into the bottom right-hand corner. It's what we needed.
Yep.
It's just a shame the rest of the result wasn't right either.
Was that the game they had a red card and we were up a man?
Yeah, I mean, granted that red card did come in the 84th minute.
Right.
So
it wasn't an Inter Miami situation where you had the whole second half to play with.
No,
which is how we won that game.
But I do think there was it 10 minutes of added time at the end?
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
So we had quarter of an hour.
Time. That's plenty of time.
Yeah. What did you make of that sending off?
I'm trying to remember now. Jog my memory. Was it a second yellow?
It was a challenge that came on Felipe.
It was a VAR. That I remember now.
It was VAR. Yeah.
I thought they were both going to get. I thought I was going to see the first matching red cards on a slide tackle.
Yeah.
I was like, that was hard. For the record books. Yeah, that's why I would have almost said, like, let's just call this one off and say yellows for both for dangerous play. But I mean, I think that Felipe had to have one roll his way for being the cause of so many. He just decided he's gonna, one's gonna roll his way.
And I think the shock on that player's face as well, when the red card came out and his face just went.
If I remember correctly, that was his first game for New England.
Oh, I don't know.
Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. I feel like I remember that being the case, or I've conflated another red card that happened against DC United in MLS's back, which is probably what I did. So that's not the case. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Continue. Edit that out.
Yeah, well, whatever. What else was it? So their goals that they scored. The first one, Edison Flores from a bit of a. He tried to be clever, and you don't need clever inside the box. You need it hoofed away.
Out. Yep.
Yeah, John Smith style. So that's a UK reference. So there's a. Just so you know, for all you American viewers or listeners, John Smith, there's a beer over here in the UK, and one of their adverts that they did, they had a comedian called Peter Kay on it, and it was basically everyone was doing keepy uppies. It was Sunday League. Everyone's a bit overweight. They've got the orange slices on the side on the table with the cups of tea for the halftime break. As they're doing the keepy uppies, he comes in and just says, "Have it," and hoofs it away.
So
I might link the clip. Of, it's a brilliant video. It just warms the heart. Let's put it that way. What else happened? So their second goal, story of our season so far, the goal conceded from a set piece.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ben was previously complaining about height in set pieces. This was not down to height. This was not. I remember talking to Steve Birnbaum on one of the Instagram live interviews, and he was saying, like he was surprised at how bad the defense has been, and he's like, it's not through lack of work. It's just. I told him it seems like there is a large number of individual unlucky mistakes that keep happening. That was during the tournament. I feel like now we're seeing more systematic breakdowns in the box where you're seeing more. It's not just one bad play by the defense. It's sometimes two or three before the goal gets scored. So it's certainly gone the wrong way. It's gone down the hill.
Yeah. What I've noticed when watching back on the highlights is it seems that we're going for a mixture of both zonal marking and a couple of man marking. And then we had no one on the back post, which...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Ben has strong feelings on that. I feel like everyone does. I feel like everyone either, and it's always after a goal gets scored. That's when you find out people's opinion on that. Because the goal gets scored, like, how didn't you have somebody at the back post? But then nothing happens. You're like, well, good marking. You got it out of there.
You always look for the mistakes in the times that it goes bad. When it goes right, it's always praise. You don't generally pick out the bad bits from a good moment. So yes, Teal Bunbury got himself a nice header free. It's the second time he's done that against us in 2 seasons as well. You'd think you'd learn. Just
Yeah,
saying.
I mean, there are a number of forwards that that make their bones against this team over time.
Yeah.
CJ Sapong is one that comes to mind. Kai Kamara
Yes.
used to really roast us. Um,
Former
yeah,
Borough player. Sorry.
he's a former Lotto. He was a former Lotto team players. He's been around.
He has
But
indeed.
yeah, it's this game, I felt like a result was possible out of this game.
Yeah.
Um, Not the case for the game we're about to talk about.
No. Just on the Revs game, I felt we could have easily got a point out of that,
Yeah,
because that's the usual result between us is
right.
a draw. So it just didn't happen for us. So we need to talk about that game.
Yeah,
Yeah, that game, which if we could just wipe out the first 21 minutes,
it was a
I'd be
draw.
happy.
Right?
I'd be over the moon.
Yeah.
But let's start from the very beginning, because the lineup, Mora as a centre back.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, I think the cupboard was bare there. I think it was a matter of what other defenders do we have that are healthy? And the answer was none.
None.
None more defenders. So I think if we were being honest with ourselves, when we saw this lineup before the game, we should have said, all right, well, this is a loss. How much of a loss is it? I know I in my moment of delusion was like, maybe we can squeak a draw out of this. I don't know, 0-0 seems possible.
Yeah.
Philly is a good offense, but you never know. I don't know why I thought a 0-0 draw was possible with a makeshift defense, but that's called
High hopes.
self-delusion.
So, what my thoughts were when seeing the lineup. So yeah, we had Mora, we had Pines, and we had Sjoberg, who was making his debut. But we had Gressel, who can play at right back. He said he doesn't want to do it.
Don't blame him.
Yeah, who wants to be a Gary Neville?
No one does.
No one. But in this time, when we are so comfortable with a 4-2-3-1 formation, why didn't we do that?
I think because we're so desperate for offense, right? Like I feel like if you move Gressel back there, you have really neutered yourself going forward from the side. We're not getting balls in, and like you said in the FC Cincinnati game, like he may have been one of the more dangerous players. You're playing without Flores, who was injured. So I think if you had either Chris Odoyatsum or Onel Fisher at your disposal, you might have gone that way, but we didn't.
Yeah, it's just for me. I was feeling quite strongly about playing the four at the back. Grant, as you said, we would have lost something offensively, but it's Philly, who are a very strong team at the moment, and we're away from home.
I'm still not used to them being good, by the way. It's not. I haven't dealt with it yet.
They've come on leaps and bounds over the last 3 years.
I don't like it.
No, I don't like it. I'm seeing some great chat coming in over on YouTube, especially from Jesse. I am loving the amount of stuff that you're commenting on.
Good
Here.
engagement,
Thank you
Jesse.
so much. So let's just have a little look at things that you've said, Jesse, whilst we're on this game. Let's have a look.
I was disappointed with the realization that we have zero to no players who can take someone on 1v1. That's a decent. I mean, take Lucho Acosta out of this team over the last 5 years.
Yep.
There's nobody that can.
No, we've not had anyone for a long time.
That's just the deal. It's not. I think it's expensive to do that. I think that's a skill set. That's a costly skill set. So we tend to try to find people who can do other things.
Yeah, I think to be honest though, with Ben's style of play, that doesn't usually happen. I think we were lucky the fact that we had Acosta.
Yep.
But generally speaking, he doesn't generally go for the tricky player.
But I think again that might be due to resource constraints, right? Like a player like that is not a guy that you find on the trash heap at MLS. He's not a guy potentially, and we'll get to this later, that you'd find in a free agent from the last place team in Turkey.
Yes.
Just for instance, for example. So yeah, I think it's hard to say, right? Like I think I've given him a lot of. If any of you listen to our show, like we've bent over backwards to explain why this team has been the way it's been for so long, with 2 or 3 good seasons mixed in, and resource constraints were always one of them. But I do think that if I know that I'm resource constrained, I am going to try to find a way to win an MLS that fits that resource constraint.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and most of the time it's not enjoyable to watch. But if that's what you've got, that's what you've got.
In a weird way, that's why I absolutely love MLS. The resource
Yeah.
constraints, the fact that we've got this salary cap, which means it's as level as it can be. Granted, the DPs could be whatever they want to be, but I love it.
You said you're a Burrow
absolutely
fan,
love it.
right?
Sorry?
You said you're a Burrow fan?
Yeah,
Yeah, that might be why you like that.
that's a fair point. Yeah, it's not been good for us recently. I've got hopes for this season though. I have got hopes for this season with Neil Warnock as our manager. So fingers crossed. But we're not here to talk about Middlesbrough. We're here to talk about DC United. And Jesse did have a comment for me asking about how many DCU shirts do I see in the UK?
As many as you wear, right?
Yeah, as many as I wear. I mean, to be fair, there's in the DC UK group, which if you want to join us, more than welcome to. Just head over onto our website. You'll see the link in the description. Whilst you're looking down there, just hit the subscribe button as well. Cheers. But there's a few of us from the UK. I mean, granted, I've got my wife. You know, she's follows us. It's quite nice. I've got a few mates from work who keep up to date with it as well. So if you're watching Andy or Stu, hey, and it's. I want to say that's what I'm trying to do, is trying to grow the club in the UK as well as the rest of the world as well, because I've got people in the group again who are from places like Myanmar.
Wow.
Which is, yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
I've got.
It's not like we've had players from there either. That's some usually the way you build in the far flung regions. A few years ago when we had Siam Siralam, that grew our popularity big time.
Yeah.
And yeah, he didn't play at all. And every post that you saw on Twitter or Facebook was like, play Alam now. He must play. And then he played, I think, one friendly for like 5 minutes, and you're like, we gotta get this guy out of here.
He's
Good. But anyway, that's good. Hey, I love. I can't listen. I don't have a choice, right? Like, I'm here.
You live there.
This is my team. This is the team through which I experience soccer. So, but God bless anybody who has decided now, even not even like with the benefit of the glory years, but like has decided to follow a team across the world that they have seen lately. Thank you.
Thank you. Another comment from Jesse, as I've just been saying there. It feels bad for Chris Seitz. Was it his fault?
I think one goal, maybe. I think one goal was right at him and through his hands. Other than that, I feel like it was all around him. I don't remember which goal that was
I lost count.
Three of them, right? one of the many that happened. I feel. I mean, Bill Hamid starts most games, so when he does get an opportunity, he does not have the benefit. I mean, this is the life of a backup goalkeeper, right? Like, he doesn't have the benefit of a ramp up. He's not been playing in a reserve league. He's not been playing in Loudon, so good luck, man. And usually it doesn't go well.
Yeah, and when it's for a backup keeper, when you get that one opportunity, you've really got to take it.
And he doesn't.
No,
and
he didn't.
It's not his fault. Like, I mean, it does not seem to be like, it's never just like one howler and we lose 1-0. It always seems that whenever the games that he is playing, there are multiple substitutions that are taking place around him, and he's seeing many shots.
Yeah, it was just. I made a comment to, I think it was Heather, when I was doing the watch along. It was like watching a training match for Philly.
Yeah, certainly during those 3 goals, it was.
Yeah,
it felt like that a lot. I don't know. I know when I was watching, my friend was like, I was like, a third. She's like, she was like, oh, this is no good. I'm like, no, I want them to score 10 now. Once they score that many, just keep going, because a loss 4-1 doesn't do anything for you. A loss 10-1 maybe makes something happen. Maybe makes a change. Maybe it involves some new players coming in. Maybe it involves some players going out or something else. But like, let's go all the way with it. That's my approach.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
And when it was a goal every 7 minutes, I was like, oh, this is going to be a very long night.
Yeah. It always slows down eventually. I think teams get tired of scoring.
Yeah.
Like, it's just too much. I try to remember what year it was. I know we were playing Philly away. I
Yes.
was at a concert, and I was getting alerts on my phone, and we were down 3-0 within the first 20, 30 minutes. And then
Was
I was
this
like, alerts off.
was this the 5-1?
That sounds right. That
Yeah.
that sounds like the right score. It's towards the end of the
I
season, I think.
I think I think that was 2018. No, it would have been 2018.
That sounds right. I was back. I was living back on the East Coast. I was at a concert. That sounds right. I just remember after those first 3 goals, I was like, "This is very strange deja vu,
Yeah.
very specific deja vu."
If someone remembers
Yeah,
when that happened,
check.
mention it in the chat. That'd be nice to know what year that was from. Because I don't think it was. Was it last year?
I don't know. It wasn't last year.
No.
I don't think so.
It must have been 2018 then. 'Cause I
Clearly,
remember.
one of our eagle-eyed viewer listeners will help us out here.
Absolutely. Right, so let's have a little look. So we had 6 first-team players out in that game as well. So just to kind of go through the list of them, it was Hamid, Birnbaum, Briant, Canals, Flores, Areola, who's obviously been out for the whole season so far. As I've mentioned, Moore started centre-back. Sjoberg and Nyman made their debuts. What do you think of Nyman on his debut?
I didn't think he got enough time to really establish himself. I think, and we'll get to that probably here in a little bit. I think he may have more of an opportunity coming here pretty soon.
Yes.
But we need to see more of him. I think he's so young, and he plays a position that I think of like Conte for Chelsea. Like normally that position demands some size, but you can make it work by being fast and slight and knowing where the ball's supposed to go and playing with your head versus your body. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But I mean, great to see him out there. I hope he gets a lot more time coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah. I just not overwork him though because he's still only 16. We've got to remember that.
He's got those legs. Man, remember when you were 16? If there's ever a time to run a kid around into the ground, like
Do I remember when
a
I was
million years
16?
ago when I was 16, I could run for days and I didn't have to stretch.
Yeah.
I could just do it. So I think I'd run him out, man.
Yeah. I thought he looked quite comfortable on the ball, considering it was his first start. It was such a good thing to see him playing, and alongside Pines, I think didn't Griffin Yao come in on this game for a brief time, and he looks really,
45
really
he
good.
played the whole second half, I think.
Yeah. Oh, he did. Yes. Yeah, he did. He looks really good. It was
I think.
lively.
Yeah, he was a player. I think I'm wearing a Griffin Yao jersey right
Oh,
now.
nice. Is that the Parley shirt?
It is. It is. This is a
Nice.
highly in demand. I feel like if things go wrong with my job, I'll sell this or stay afloat a couple months.
I'll buy it off you.
Yeah, all right, there we go.
There we go.
But Griffin Yao is. I think he held the full brunt of DC United fans' like hopes and optimism for young players last year.
Yeah.
And I feel like I think he got a little overexposed, and he was not consistent, which is entirely reasonable for the age he was and the team around him. I think that Paredes jumped right in front of him. I think he's now a good stretch far in front of where Griffin Yao is. But the way this season is going, badly, Griffin Yao is going to get his opportunity to build on the 45 minutes, play a little bit more, see where he's at.
Yeah.
There's just no way we don't do that.
Absolutely. So, going on about the second half, well, obviously Yao came on. It was much better than the first half because, well, we didn't concede 3 goals. We only conceded the 1. Gressel's goal. What did you make of that?
Should have been saved. Should not have been a goal. I think that we got real lucky on that. So Ted and I were saying all week, like, we just want a goal from open play, from an attacking player. We got that, but we barely got that. We got like the worst version of that.
Take what you can get, though.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. I'm sure that Gressel was excited about it, and it's good to not be shut out 4-0. But yeah, I think that should have been saved. What do you think?
No, absolutely. I think it was a deflection, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
yeah, it went in slow motion.
Yeah, right. It wasn't one of those deflections where it went at a 45-degree angle from the goalie and he had no chance. Like he still got both hands to it. So
yeah, it was.
Glad we scored.
I'm pleased with Julian though.
Yep,
because that's his first goal for the club. He's already made. Is it just the 1 assist so far?
I think that sounds right.
Yeah,
there aren't a lot of them.
There was the first game of the season again, corner for Canals.
Briant
scored 8. Is it 8 goals? Yeah, 8 goals this season.
We should remember everything about all of them. There's so few. We should be able to have a photographic memory for every single one of it. Kim Cope says Gressel
Yep.
was relieved more than excited. I think that's right.
Yeah, the expression on his face said it all, didn't it? When he
Yeah, you
scored,
can't get too
there
pumped.
was no celebration. It was just that.
Right. I think four down 4-1. You can't get too. You look like a big jerk if you celebrate like crazy after
Yeah,
that goal. No matter if it's your first goal or whatever, it's still you just got to be like, all right, let's score more now.
yeah, and I think he said also mentioned at one point United had 4 homegrown players on, with Donovan Pines being the oldest man on the pitch out of those.
Yeah.
That's that's something good to shout about, actually.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, Donovan's got to be happy now to really get an extended run. He had one
yeah.
previous extended run. I'm remembering how it ended. He was playing again. The only time he seems to play is with a 3 center back system.
Was it
Uh,
Columbus or Colorado?
I think Colorado. It was the game at Audi Field he played.
Yeah,
He had an error that resulted in a goal. He looked really really bad, and that was about the end. We didn't see him again.
yeah,
So I'm pleased for him so far. Although he has made a few mistakes that I've seen. He's covered, and other players have covered. I think that when it's easier to forget the mistakes when you make the mistake and it doesn't result in the goal, and you can just basically be like, "Oh, he did fine. he was good." He's made some very good sort of last minute defending opportunities. He's done that, but he also has allowed balls to bounce that he shouldn't, or maybe doesn't make a full clearance when he needs to. So it's still a work in progress for sure. But that requires playing. So now he's playing.
Yeah, and you said about the mistakes he's made, but there's been some times where he's made a challenge which no player in their right mind should have been able to.
Right.
But the size of him, the fact that he's got extremely long legs.
He's got long everything. He's head to toe, very stretchy.
Yeah, and he's got pace.
Yep.
For a big guy, he's got some pace behind him, and that's a good combination.
Yeah, all he needs in his game is consistency. Center backs have to be the same guy every game.
Yeah.
And he does not have that yet. And I think that comes with experience in minutes. But the natural gifts are there. That is why he excelled at Maryland. That is why he was drafted where he was drafted. You look at the guy and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just gotta get him there, and then he'll be great. And I think there's not anybody else behind. We talked about this on Monday. There's no prospects behind him. There's Adam Lundegaard and Loudon, but center back is a pretty thin situation for this team. So you've got to figure this out.
It's not a pretty position to play in, though, is it?
No.
It's one of those ones that you're gonna have to have a broken nose and things like that to go, you know what, I'll just stay at the back.
Yeah, no more goals for me. Although for this team, it seems to be actually where all the goals come from. So maybe we should just think about it that way.
Up front. But here's the thing: he's 6'5", and our new guy Axel Schulberg is 6'7". Yet Pines looks much bigger than he does.
He does. He's more built out. He's got more of a frame to him. So, and Schulberg, I'm interested to see what comes out. This was not a good advertisement for him.
No.
Overall, first game, new formation, etc. Blah 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 blah. But he was best 11 2 or 3 years ago with Colorado, and then something happened and he fell off a cliff, and he was traded, or I think released, signed with Columbus, and Columbus loaned him out to San Antonio. I think played no games for Columbus, and then was basically let go because Emma Boateng is basically just a roster spot for roster spot. So. Clearly he has it in him. I don't believe there was an injury involved, just a dramatic loss of form, which is something you can theoretically get back because he's not old. It's not unrecoverable.
28?
Yeah, he's a baby. He's an infant.
He's got, I would say, at least 7-8 years ahead of him yet.
Yep.
So
until he falls off a cliff at 35 and everything ends. Just don't ask me why I think 35 is when everything falls apart. I have no reason to know.
Fred Briant is 35, and he's leading scorer.
Yeah, no, me and Fred and I, when we interviewed him, we commiserated about being 35. I was like, yeah, but you're a different 35. You're a professional athlete 35. It's a little different.
That's fair. So that's just a little recap over those 3 games. 1 point from 9. Ouch. No win since March the 7th. This season so far, we've only had 3 goals from open play. Out of 8. which is not good.
No, at least own goal is not our leading score. It's not 2013 where
Yes.
for the season own goal was your leading score. So that's
Yeah.
theoretically an improvement, I guess.
And then, speaking of lead scorers, Brion, as we've already mentioned, is joint top scorer with Pipa Higuain. So,
Who has appeared in 4 games and
yeah.
has 2 goals.
So, minutes per goal, sorry.
That's right. He's killing it. Probably top,
He
probably
is.
leaderboard, right?
Yeah,
Probably top.
probably leading in MLS.
Yep.
So, can't argue with that. So, our next 3 games. Yes.
We don't need to play these games. I feel like it's just going to be
just end the season now.
Yeah, I mean, at least these 3. I feel like until we can get some more players back in, let's just be like, you know what, guys, let's settle this on FIFA or something. Let's figure out another way to make these games.
Settle on FIFA. Get Kevin in because he's amazing at FIFA.
There you go,
apparently.
Ringer.
Yeah. Right. So we're gonna have to talk about it.
Yeah, that's right.
We
Unfortunately
have
that's
to talk
not
about
an option.
it.
So right.
Yeah. So the first one is tomorrow night, as it is right now. So if you're listening to this after September 1st, it's on September 2nd.
Right.
Or in my time, September 3rd at midnight, because you're out UK time zone. I'm getting used to it. The 5-hour time difference and staying up at midnight watch these games, but
Yeah, you have it way worse than I do to watch games in your country. 7 a.m., 8 a.m. starts are ideal. When they were doing that and MLS is back, I was like, this, I don't know. They obviously can't make this happen. Probably great for you too, right?
Oh, that was ideal. I mean, for the
Lunchtime
9 o'clock kickoffs, they were great.
Yeah.
So it was, what was it, 2 p.m. over here?
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. However, everything else.
Yeah, the 10 p.m. ones were no good for you.
Yeah,
Those
a
are
little
missed.
bit about that. I don't know whether you heard. So I actually went to sleep at about 8:30 that night, so I could get up, have
Ooh,
my
commitment.
I had 6 hours sleep, so it's absolutely fine.
They weren't contiguous 6 hours. You were saying you got them on the front end. You got the 6 hours.
I got them on the front end.
Oh, there you go.
And I got up at 2:30, watched the game, and then I was up for the rest of the day.
Yeah. You can't go back. You can't. I feel like it's very hard to make yourself go to sleep after staying up and particularly watching any of the games that DC United played in. Like those
to be fair, I could have fallen asleep during the game, but
right. Harder after than during.
yeah. So the first one against Red Bull tomorrow night at the Red Bull Arena in New Jersey, not New York, because
The co-home stadium with New York City FC this season. They're facility sharing, which is hilarious.
It's so funny. It is absolutely hilarious that New York team plays in New York.
Mm-hmm. That's all we got on them. That is literally all we can. That's it.
Yeah.
So we'll use it.
Yeah. How have you found Red Bull so far this season? Because I've found them, compared to previous years, they've been a huge disappointment.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I haven't gotten to watch too many of their games but just from their position on in the standings, it's we're the worst, right? I think we're the very worse than Nashville,
Yes.
worse than the expansion team that everyone was making fun of.
Yes.
So
thanks for that.
Yeah, it's just hey, listen, you gotta embrace it. You gotta live it.
You do.
I think there's just we'll talk through each of these games, and the second one is the same team as the first, but I don't see a point from any of these games. I see 3 losses.
Oh,
I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, we're almost in the exact same situation we were from a player shortage perspective. No one is for sure coming back, I don't believe, and we'll talk about the rest of I think we may have some defenders back in.
Yes.
But overall, we are who we are. They are who we thought we were, and it's not a team that scores a lot of goals. So
yeah, it's a difficult one to see where these next points are going to come from. I'm glad they don't have Bradley Wright Phillips anymore.
Same,
because that really would be just we're losing those 2 games.
That's a guarantee. He'll be 47 years old scoring goals against us. If any team that plays us should just sign him on a 1-day contract.
Yeah, I'm so glad he's now in the Western Conference. So glad he's over there now. But,
do you know how many goals he has for LAFC this year?
A few
I've seen him score at least 1.
He scored. I think he scored a couple in the tournament.
The tournament I saw. Yep.
I think he scored a couple against Galaxy.
Great.
They beat them quite well.
He, I think maybe New York gave up on him too soon. But good for
Yeah,
him.
I'm
Glad
surprised.
he's not against us anymore.
I'm surprised he went to LAFC though, because they've got an abundance of attacking talent.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know if they knew that they're. I'm trying to think when they signed him in the off season. If they wouldn't have known about COVID by that. So they weren't
Yeah,
unless they were strangely prescient. They weren't going to know that Carlos Vela was not going to be available due to COVID. Diamande is gone, isn't he? Didn't he want to
yeah,
go?
he did
So
go. Yeah,
that he's probably taking his. They was always assuming he would be sort of backup or filling that spot, but he's
yeah.
if he's scoring goals, that's great. He would be the leading scorer on our team. So
Would you
we're
take him on?
tied. Would I take him? Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely, I would for
even though
sure.
he's a Red Bull player.
For sure, that is in this league with the amount of turnover that happens. I think that concept is in a single entity league is doesn't carry as much weight maybe as it does in some other places. But I would absolutely take a proven. I would actually, you know what? I would take him
Yeah.
because we're taking, and as we'll talk here shortly, we're taking just some guys.
Yes.
It would be nice if we got a forward that could create their own opportunities.
Yeah.
Kamara has proven to be service dependent. I think someone talked about that in the comments. And how do we get better service? Beats me.
Yes.
I wish we knew, but we know for sure that both of these forwards are not going to create. Kamara scored one of his few goals that he has scored for DC was off of a shot he created and scored on last year,
Yeah.
but that's not his typical MO. And the way this team is playing, it would be really nice rather than just having a poacher, having a player that could, you know,
Ooh.
convert on their own opportunities. I see that.
So you saw the comment as well.
I see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if is that Kim?
Is
If
that
that's
true?
if that confirmed, or was that after he already signed for LAFC? He was able to be like, "Yeah, I didn't go there. That's what I didn't want to. I didn't want to make New York Red Bull fans mad."
I want to hear from you guys who are watching right now, or if you're listening, tweet me this. Would you take BWP to DC?
Over some potential other forwards that this team may have signed in the last few days.
Yeah. Because
Which I'm teasing again. I think that
I'm for it.
This is the most press that this guy's going to get. This amount of. Oh, okay.
Oh, well, there you go.
All right. Well, good for you, I guess, Brad. I mean, that means we had no chance.
Damn.
Oh well. But yeah, before recently, going into this season with two forwards and Ulysses Segura as your depth was criminal roster construction with open roster spots.
Yes.
Criminal. Calvin says I think he's redundant with Kamara. I agree with that, but
Yeah.
I think that even with that in mind, they needed to have another player. They needed to have a player who had a different profile, and they just decided to fill that with nobody.
Yeah.
Because they have two poachers. They didn't have anybody else that has a different profile. So
Sorga, he's young, but he's come from an Estonian league, which, yeah. Kamara hasn't looked great at all. He spends far too much time out on the wing. And then Segura, yeah.
he tries
Less-
hard. He
He
works
works
I call him
hard.
Connor Doyle. He's
the Ben
a
Olsen
defensive
kind of
forward.
player, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a defensive forward.
Yeah.
He's all about the press. Someone's got to be about the press, and he's about the press. I think also to somewhat forgive Kamara for being out on the wings, it's because he's not getting the service that he needs from the wings, so he's trying to get the ball. Wayne Rooney would do that. Wayne Rooney would go back to wingback position to go get the ball, and because he knew that he just wasn't getting what he needed. Not to compare those two players.
There's a difference
Yeah,
between
let's
them
say
two.
not to compare those players in any way other than that they both play forward, and they both at one time played for DC United. But yeah, I think he's frustrated.
Yeah.
I think he's had a few chances. He said maybe I can think of off the top of my head 4 chances that he should have buried that he did not. Two at the tournament, and I think 2 since.
He had one against Philly that I remember.
Yep.
Was it Philly or was it the Revs game?
Revs game. Philly, he didn't. I don't.
Yeah,
think
it was
he
the
did.
Revs game because he was 1-on-1 with the keeper, wasn't he?
That was Revs. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right. But yeah, Segura is our Swiss Army knife.
He is.
But
bless him.
I think he's a midfield Swiss Army knife. I think he can play any of the positions in midfield.
I think he'd do all right at wing back. a
Maybe, yeah.
fullback.
I'm surprised we haven't seen him there yet, considering the injuries we've had and
Yeah,
some players we played out of position.
yeah,
But
and there we go. There's how my 4-2-3-1.
there you
Keep
go.
Dressel up further forward, Waxiger at the back.
Why not?
Yeah. Right, another comment reminded me when Hamid disappointed for the US men's national team after riding the bench overseas. Needs a game experience to be successful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's true.
yeah. You definitely do need game experience. That's one thing Hamid is so unfortunate about is his call-ups to the men's team. I think he should have had so many more. But I don't
Well,
think
for sure.
his comment last year about him and Brad Guzan did not do him any favors.
Honestly, though, I think the story was already written by that point. He just closed the book on it. I think
Yeah.
it had been decided over multiple coaches that he was a player that they didn't want. They didn't want for reasons both imagined and real. Whether it be distribution, whether it be he was mistake prone early on in his career. He's always been a great shot stopper. That part has not
Yes.
changed at all. But I believe his distribution has gotten better, and I don't believe that Sean Johnson was any better at distributing the ball. I think that unfortunately now for him, it was over anyway, right? But I
Yeah.
think that now there are young goalies who are always going to Zach Steffen
Ethan
playing.
Havarth is
Yeah,
another one I quite like.
yeah. Those players were always going to get a look playing in either the Bundesliga or now it looks like potentially being the backup at Man City. Which I don't like for him. I'd rather have him play more than the Carling Cup and maybe some occasional FA Cup games.
Yeah.
But it is unfair. But it is also, I think he's accepted the reality. I think he knows now through two coaches that it wasn't going to be, and I'm glad he spoke his piece on it. At least he got,
Yeah.
at least he got to, he said he was better than they are, and I agree with him. And I think anybody
Yeah.
that's watched him from an extended period says, do you want Bill Hamid or do you want Brad Guzan? You're going to say Bill Hamid 99 out of 100 times, maybe 100.
I mean, I've had first-hand watching Brad Guzan play for Middlesbrough.
That was not a good stint for him, I believe.
I mean, to be fair, it's never been a good stint for him in the Premier League.
No.
Getting relegated with Aston Villa, then we signed him, then got relegated with Middlesbrough. Yeah.
He did not follow the great American tradition of goalies.
No, not the likes of Casey Keller, Brad Friedel,
Tim Howard when he was
Tim Howard. Yeah.
both,
Just to
yeah.
name a few. Just to name a few. So, the other games that we've got coming up. NYCFC, that's this weekend, this Saturday, if I remember rightly, at Audi Field. Let's just have a quick look at the standings. NYCFC have moved up to 9th in the Eastern Conference. And yeah, they've got 3 wins under their belt now. They started pretty badly. They didn't do great in the tournament. I think they got very lucky with qualifying out the group stages. But again, we've so far
We don't score the goals, right? We don't score the goals.
Yeah, they've scored 6 goals so far this season. So they've scored less than us.
Oh, less than we have scored 8. Is that what you said?
We scored 8 in the same amount of games.
Well, they must be more defensively stingy then, and they're. I think our 4-1 may have skewed our goal diff.
Yeah, so if we call it a 1-0 or 1-1, 2-1, it wouldn't. So we've got. Well, let's leave it as it is. We've conceded 13 goals so far this season. They've conceded 8.
So don't expect a lot of goals in this game.
No, I'm expecting that to be a 0-0 draw. I think.
Oh, that'd be great.
I'd be happy with a point.
Yeah,
and a clean sheet.
Let's take 2 points from 6 games. Let's do it.
It's better than none.
Yeah, no, for sure it is. It is exactly 100% better than 1.
Got to look at the optimistic side of things, you know.
Uh-huh.
And then our last game, which is it next Tuesday or next Wednesday?
I think Wednesday, but I'm not sure.
Let's just.
It's soon. It's next week.
Yeah, it's sometime next week. We're then back at Audi Field again for Red Bulls again. At home, I'd like to, because
there's no
fans,
advantage with no sound, right? Like it's.
Oh no,
you could be anywhere.
They were pumping sound into the stadium.
They were, but it doesn't. I don't think it's intimidating.
No.
I think if it sounds coming from a speaker, you're not be like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh, but
But
don't forget we've got the fan cutouts.
that's true. It's true. I'm hoping that FIFA Cat appears. I'm hoping that Pablo pays the $50 for FIFA Cat. I was
Have
thinking about
you
doing it.
paid for a cutout?
I was gonna. No, I've not yet. I was
No.
thinking about would they let us do just a large RFK Refugees logo as the cutout, and I don't know that I can. I just don't know that
Do
it's
it
worth
on.
$50.
Just do it on your own body.
Yeah, that's true. They can't tell me I can't do that.
Kim's just said there's sound. It's weird.
Yeah,
I've just
disembodied
done.
hearing.
If you're
Yeah.
listening to the show after, it sounded in the
He
thingy
didn't.
that you do
Air
with your
quotes
hands.
don't make sound.
Air quotes. That's what I was looking for. How weird is it, Kim? Because that'd be. Does it feel quite like a normal atmosphere, or is it just plain straight weird? That'd be interesting to know. Yeah, I'd be interested to see a RFK Refugees logo in the crowd. I think
Yeah,
that'd be
I'm
quite
trying to
cool.
think from a cost perspective. At $50, they would have to. It would have to be on camera frequently. So should
Yes,
be behind whatever goal we're defending. That's where it should be, because then it'll get the most airtime.
absolutely. I think. I
Whatever
don't
angle
think I
they
know.
show, whenever they show other teams celebrating, whatever angle that is, like when they score, maybe in the corner, maybe that would be where it should be.
Yeah. No, Kim just says, "Oh heck no." Fair enough. It's just plain weird then.
All right.
Yeah. I know is it Jim from who does the DC United with Pride account. He bought me a fan cutout, which is quite nice.
That's cool.
So fingers crossed. If you're watching the game this weekend, see if you can spot me. Take a little screen grab or a photo of it. Send it in. It'd be cool to see if I miss it, because I probably will. Because I'll probably be looking at looking at my laptop, probably depressed. You know.
Optimism.
Yeah, optimism. Sorry, yes,
Optimism.
optimism. We're
Word
gonna
of
win.
the day.
We're gonna win.
9 points.
9 points for the next 3 games. Imagine that though.
I was just about to say, what would your headspace be like? I keep it's obviously a thought experiment, right? Like I feel like
Yeah.
we're all in the same dark and dangerous place. But
Yeah.
say this team managed, it can flip in a minute, right? Like it's MLS, anything is possible. Don't bet on MLS because anything's possible. But 3 wins are possible. These teams are not they're not world beaters. It's something that can happen. What would you what would your level of confidence be? Would you have forgotten all of the lessons you've learned watching this team the rest of the season about what their shortcomings are? And would you still sort of feel how you feel, or do you think you'd be like, you know what, guys, maybe we can get into the playoffs and do something? It's possible.
So for me, if we do pull this 3 wins from 3, my head, because I'm usually optimistic, my headspace, we're making the playoffs now.
Yeah.
That's it. We're on this road. We're gonna see it through. But I should listen to what we just said there, and my headspace should be,
Yeah.
this is temporary.
I'd be selling high.
This is a blip.
High on that, right?
This is a temporary blip. We're going back to where we were. But I'm not that kind of guy. I always look at the bright side of things. I always look at the optimistic side. I think my headspace would be, we're going to the playoffs.
That's good. That has been me, and I think doing this show now coming up on almost, I don't know how many years. It's been over 2. I don't know if it's been. I don't know if we've approached 3 yet.
I saw that you started your show your Twitter account launched on 2018 February.
All right, so there, it's that. It hasn't. It feels longer. I was a lot more optimistic coming in. I have lived. I was a season ticket holder for 2010 and 2013, both historical worst seasons of MLS history. I was there for both of them in person. So I've said it on Twitter. Like I've seen enough. I've seen enough DC United badness to just never let one game bother me, because I'm already dead inside as far as them being bad goes. But like the optimism also has waned for me. Now, in 2018, I was very optimistic. I was absolutely thinking we were going to beat Columbus and just go.
Yeah,
because I thought that this was the team to do it, and it was they were operating at their peak offensive efficiency.
Close.
It was so close. It was a penalty away. It was a Wayne Rooney skied penalty and a Nick DeLeon skied penalty away.
And a Lucho Acosta saved penalty.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I was in the corner right at, and again, I told you that I'm good at this. My wife would be the only one to verify this. I called out every single one of those misses. I was like, I know it, and it happened.
Oh,
There's no benefit in being right there. It was
no.
just so loud. It
Oh,
was
the atmosphere was
wonderful.
fantastic.
It was wonderful, and it hasn't been anything like that since, unfortunately. Clearly,
Yeah. That's that's disappoints me quite a bit because we've had that atmosphere. We know the club and the fans can do it. Just do it every single game.
well, you got to give them. You got to give them a reason.
Oh yeah.
My favorite thing about that game is there was somebody who posted a video from their apartment, like 2 blocks away, and they when a goal was when Nick DeLeon scored his goal, she just was recording sound and like things were falling off her wall, like it was so loud and shaking. I was like, that's very cool. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But they got it. I mean, they have to. You have to give fans a reason. This fan base,
Yeah.
given a winner, comes out and they're enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And I think Wayne Rooney was a surprise windfall for this team. It was found money. I don't know how it happened or why it happened, but it did, and that was the magic sauce that made all that.
Yeah.
But then 2019 was something else altogether, unfortunately.
Yes. Right. Some little key points going over to the next few games. Flores out for 4 to 6 weeks because he suffered multiple fractures to his face. That was a horrible injury when I saw that one back. Fisher and Odoyata are back in training. So we've got defence back.
Now we have options.
We've got fullbacks.
You can do 2 different formations now, at least.
Yeah.
We know that's the case.
Yep. Something I've written down on my show notes here is depth is a massive concern. And I did before, obviously, news came out this week. More forward players are required. And news came out.
Asking you shall receive, sort
Yep.
of.
Galman Rivas, or however you want to pronounce
Or Gelman,
it.
if you want to say it
Gelman.
wrong. If you want to RFK Refugees style. Gelman.
Yeah. Or as when I first saw it, I thought it was German Rivas. I was like, okay. Signed, free signing from the Turkish leagues.
That was the biggest thing right there. That's why he's on this team right now. Free and forward.
Yes, because to be fair, I don't see many transfers happening with cash.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't catch the name. Minnesota United just signed a number 10 from Boca Juniors today.
I think that's an initial loan.
Okay, fine. We'll take loans. Let's do that.
I'd happily take a loan.
Right? Leohar was on a loan.
Yes.
That was our methodology in 18 and 19 because we didn't want to pay upfront costs. But why can't we do that right now? It's certainly within. I think there's. Anyway, but let's talk about our all the information we have about Mr.
Yes, our new striker Galman Rivas scored 1 goal in 7 appearances in Turkey.
Try to say that team's name.
No.
No, that's right. You know why you don't have to? Because it's the last place team in Turkey. So I think there's some Z's. It's not happening.
Right. I am just gonna quickly bring him up on. I just done the horrible thing and used Bing.
Oh, I think your computer's gonna die now.
Yeah.
He's played for a lot of teams. He played in Saudi Arabia. He played in the UAE. He has gotten, I believe, 3 caps for the Venezuela national team. The last of which I believe is in 2014 or 17.
According to Wiki, is what I'm using as my source right now.
Oh, that's what we always use.
Oh yeah, Wiki.
That or Transfer Market. Those are the only other options.
2015.
15.
Yeah.
So he is a national team player in like the largest air quotes possible.
Yeah.
Think of players who played for the U.S. national team in 2015 and not since, and then called them and imagine calling them U.S. national team players.
Yeah.
So I can think of a couple.
So let's put it this way: he has scored a grand total. I mean, to be fair, he's played for 4 different teams in 2019, 2020 so far, and he scored. Yeah, he's well travelled. Scored 7 times.
Yeah, I mean, the question always, Eric Sorga scored quite a few goals in Estonia, and it appears to not be translating. So there's a conversion rate issue with some of these goals.
Yes, I mean,
but either way, we needed a body. He is a body.
Yeah, he's a 6-foot striker. He's 31 years of age, And from the photos that I've seen of him, because I've not watched any
Very
highlights of him
skinny.
playing,
He's a very skinny man.
yeah, he's got plenty of tattoos.
Got plenty of tattoos. That's like the standard equipment, I feel like, for most soccer players at this point.
Yep. So it's going to be
We're not
an
going to
interesting
pretend. We're
time.
not going to pretend that we've done any sort of deep dive analysis on this player.
No,
It's not been done.
I mean, to be fair, I think it was only yesterday we announced the signing, so I've not really
True.
had much time. So
Ryan Kiefer, I believe, has a write up from December with sizzle reels. So go check out Black and Red United from December.
yes, I do remember seeing something about that. Actually,
He's got that. He also said that there's this is Ryan Kiefer I'm speaking of. Talked about a defender from Blackburn whose name escapes me is also the rumor mill's going on that. So
Ooh.
you will assume also a free if it does happen.
Okay.
Because Steve Goff today has a quote from an unnamed source. The question was, are we signing more players? And the answer was no. We'd like to, but no, DC United is only interested in cutting costs this year. So
yes, that's
something we all knew in our hearts, but now has been said by an unnamed source to the Washington Post.
Yeah, that's something that is kind of to be expected this year with everything that's happening. But
we've talked about this a little bit, and there are other teams that are making it work. We're not Atlanta, so we don't have the blanks. But also there are teams that do not have a large amount, do not have like top half of 1% rich owners, like just have guys that have lots of money, and they're making moves to improve their team. Clearly, this team is extremely stretched on a capital front. They're laying off half of the front office, or more at this point. I'm not even sure. Clearly there's more financial stress on this team than there are on other MLS teams.
Yeah.
But until they say it, until they can sort of make that clear, we're all just sort of left to be like, this team needs more ambition, and I don't see it because they can't. Because it's very hard for the owner to come out and be like, yeah, we're not spending any money for like 2 years probably. So, but please come when you can. Please buy tickets next year.
Is the fact that they own Swansea City anything to do with it?
I don't think so. Jason Levian is not a high net worth individual overall. Steve Kaplan has more money, but Jason Levian has always been in every sort of ownership group that he's been a part of. He has been the active guy of a consortium of guys who have real money, and he's got me. He's got FU money already, but he is not like transcendentally wealthy compared to other owners. So I feel like the problem is that there are not, and I think they're trying to keep the ownership group lean to maintain equity shares in the team, so that if they were to sell at some point, which I think still is the plan, they've got to turn around a larger profit. They've got to, and there's still a whole bunch of ancillary development around the stadium to build. So there's, it's a challenge to see this changing, to see this team turn around all of a sudden and start, making multiple Edison Flores moves per year. That's just not the way this team is set up from an ownership perspective.
Yeah, it's. I can't. For me, now that I know obviously about Jason Levine owning Swansea and everything, I kind of want Swansea City to do well and get it back into the Premier League. So they get that Premier League money, so we can use it for ourselves.
Don't let any of the Swansea fans hear that on Twitter. They will melt your podcast.
Oh, I've already had some abuse from Swansea City fans over the years.
I bet they're very aggravated about.
They are angry people, but I know a couple of Welsh people, and if you're watching or listening, I apologise, but you're angry people. I don't make any apologies about that. You're very angry people. You're passionate, is what I should say. That's probably a better word, passionate?
Sure, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
You live closer to them, so you've got to be a bit more careful than I do.
I mean, to be fair, I'm actually only about an hour away from Wales.
Yeah, so in fact, definitely find the passionate. I think that's the way to go.
Passionate, definitely. I don't know whether you've seen it. There was Felipe over on Instagram and his Instagram stories. A lot of posts about him getting well soon and recovering.
Yeah, so I shared Kevin Paredes' story. That was the first one to mention it. That was the Kevin. No word yet. He wasn't on the injury report from Steve Goff today. I feel like the day before a game is probably a light walkthrough, if anything. So it's
Yeah,
interesting to me that an injury is uncovered now that wasn't disclosed in the injury report.
yeah,
It would be weird if he got injured today, if it was not something from before. But I feel like 9 times out of 10, when you see a player say something like that, it's always a long term injury. It's never like a
yeah.
hamstring. So it's always like
No,
ACL or something bad.
yeah. I'm still waiting on to hear anything about it. I've actually messaged Felipe over on Instagram just asking if everything's all right.
Primary research. I like it. Go right to the
Yeah.
source. Why wait?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, after he came on
Friend of
my
the
show last
show. Go
week,
for it.
not last week, the week before, he was great, and
Yeah, he is awesome.
yeah, I get why people were a little bit. It's a family friendly show. This one, a bit annoyed that when he signed.
Have I sworn, by the way? Have
No,
I
I think your strongest word was jerk,
Okay, good.
and
then,
that's
then we're
fine.
doing good. I didn't
Yeah,
get the PG warning, so that's good. I'm glad.
that's fine. I mean, one or two slip in there.
All right.
It goes underneath the Apple Podcasts scans and things. It's fine.
Sorry to interrupt.
Um, and after what he did, I mean, that's the injury that he caused. But since he's joined the club, he has been phenomenal. I rarely see anyone saying anything bad about that guy.
Yeah, it's all about. I think that he has figured out the magic sauce about endearing yourself to a team. And it doesn't matter if the other team fans don't like you because you don't play for them. You're not getting paid by their team, so it does not matter. He is the quintessential guy you want on your team and the guy you hate. That's okay. That's fine. We haven't had one of those for a while, and I think our team has suffered for it. I think that there's a value in having a player that can get under the skin of the opponent. Quincy Amarikwa on Zlatan comes to mind.
Yes, that was such a great moment.
Yeah, so like you need that sometimes, and he gets what it means to the fans. He gets that it's different than other sports. He gets that it is more of a family / community than just a thing we all watch. And he gives all of it. So he is, but also from a playing perspective, he has, in my mind, I think Moreno has regressed. I think Knaus over the course of his time here. I think that Knaus being shuttled between right back and defensive midfield has hurt him, and now he's out. I think Felipe has been, of the three, that was the concern, is how are you going to get minutes for all these guys? It always works out. So whenever next preseason when you have that question about any position, don't just erase it because it works out somehow or another. But he's been the strongest player in that position, and to lose him, if we have lost him, unless Kevin Paredes is playing some sort of September 1st joke on all of us here, he's actually fine. I think we'll miss him, but it will open the door for Moses Nyman most likely, or really honestly, probably the player we have on loan from Valorenga. Abu?
Yes.
What's his last name?
Mohamed Abu.
Yeah. I will bet you that's where it goes. And then Nyman gets more opportunities to come off the bench.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see Nyman starting a game. I think he'll come on with like 30 minutes left or something like that.
Although it's weird if you think about subbing on a 17-year-old defensive midfielder to salt the game away. Like that's not like that feels like a dangerous move for a young player, but I'm sure we'll have a 3-goal advantage on one of these games. It's real comfortable, and then we can just ease him in.
Kamara's backed his hat trick.
Yeah, exactly. After 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, 21 minutes. Come on.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah. But I've even lost my little train of thought there. Abu. Nyman. Yeah, it'd be nice to see him getting a bit more minutes. I don't think he should start, just down to his age. I mean, granted, Paredes has had to start, but I think that's just down to the lack of...
Yeah, need. That's a need right
It's a need rather than a want. And then the position that Nyman plays, we've got plenty of cover there, so... Yeah, I'd be happy if he just keeps coming in off the bench.
And getting more than 5-10 minutes. I feel like getting a 30-minute stint would be good. Build up on
Absolutely. I'm going to move on to another thing that Goff had said earlier on. Potential of the Gonzalo Higuain coming to DC United. He said one source, long shot, and another one said not this year. Yeah. There's a lot of talk of him going to Inter Miami at the moment, which is disappointing because I reckon his brother should be constantly on the phone telling him to come here.
Yeah, I don't care about Gonzalo Higuain really. I think I had the misfortune of watching him play for Chelsea for a season,
Oh
so
yeah,
I'm a bit jaded on his ability still at this point. Um, would he start for us? Yeah, clearly he would start for us.
yeah,
Would he score more goals than? Yeah, sure, absolutely. Would we potentially get better value from his wages from other players? I think so. And will Gonzalo Higuain sell any tickets at this stage in his career? Probably not.
no,
Very little. I don't think so. Maybe some. Maybe some. You know, maybe. I just don't think so. I think that when you compare him, obviously, when you compare him to a Wayne Rooney, it's not
oh
even in the same universe.
yeah,
But if you're going to make a move for an older player that's going to cost you a lot of money, he either has to really light it up and be for sure going to be able to separate himself on the field, which he probably will, but I wouldn't bet a lot of money on it, or he should be able to sell tickets, and I don't
yeah.
think this will. Do you
How
want
about
him?
Matt? I think he's a very good player, and I think he would do incredibly well in this league because he's not. I don't say the fact that he's not the quickest player, but I think he's got the skill set to really dominate, and he can score a goal from anywhere. He's done great in Italy. I think he's still got great form in him, and I think he's still got a couple of years. And I'd be happy to have him. But then
Yeah,
looking from my side of the pond, he's a much bigger name over here.
yeah, maybe that's the case.
Yeah,
For Chelsea, he was out of shape, and maybe like he was a
yeah,
fox in the box basically for that team when they
yeah,
needed something else. So I don't know. Well, I'll take him
yeah,
if that's who's on offer. If that's who wants to come here, okay,
yeah. I mean,
sure.
it adds that depth that we sorely need.
Yep. The problem though, it's frustrating though. Like a player like that comes in for a team that is so resource constrained will seriously affect the team's ability to get better elsewhere and build depth.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think this team is very far away from MLS Cup contention, which is where you want to be. I think that's what we need to be shooting for.
Yep.
So a player that I think obstructs your path to that where you need to be, I could take or leave. I
Yeah,
think it's a longer term project.
I get that. I
Yeah.
totally get that. Um, Another thing that he said about a potential Bill Hamid transfer. I know it was commented in the chat as well. Scary time again.
Yeah, that I think that there was some extrapolation there. So
Yeah.
he did not travel for the game against Philly. So
Yep.
we assumed I assumed it was related to the events of the previous week and the
Yep.
boycott in the NBA, or should I say the strike in the NBA. We thought it was related to that. We heard during the game not the case. We heard
Yep.
today that he was late to numerous trainings last week. You can't blame traffic right now because ain't nobody on the road, so that ain't it, Bill. I think Bill actually lives pretty close to the stadium and
He
also
does apparently. So yep.
and pretty close to the training facilities across the river. So, mm.
Mm.
And then I try to remember who it was. I think it might have been Ben Bromley from Red. Why can't Red and Black United? Is that right? Black
Black
and
and
Red
Red
United.
United.
Sorry. He said, who's the person that made that mistake last time? Was it somebody on Flow Sports? Flow Sports instead of
Oh.
red and black, and then everyone. So you guys know. You
Yes.
guys know. I know. I just had a slip. My brain wasn't working. Anyway, he was saying the last time a player wasn't with the team for personal reasons was Wayne Rooney when he went back to Derby County.
Yeah.
So, is it possible that he's on the way out? Sure. Could you blame him if he was looking at this team, looking at this country,
Yeah.
looking
Well.
at the way
Yeah.
that these games have to happen right now?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. I would, somebody else said it. I don't know if it was on here or on Twitter. Like, God bless him. If there's an opportunity to go play in Europe and get a showcase of a team with aspiration and hopes for moving forward, yeah. Michelin didn't work out, but maybe somewhere else will. Will that destroy this team even more? Absolutely, it will.
Yeah.
Because this team has proven over the last 4 years now, goalkeeping without Bill Hamid in this team is a bad combination. Even
Yes.
Steve Clark, who has flourished in Portland, couldn't do it. And anybody else who stepped in has not been able to be as good as Bill. So it'll hurt the team, but I think maybe it could be a good move for him if this actually is the case and we're not just wildly speculating.
Yeah. And if we're going to widely speculate, Bill, come to the borough.
Sure, why not? Let's do it.
I'd like that. That would
Best
be
case for
amazing.
you.
That would be unbelievable. I'd then actually travel back to the borough and watch some games again.
There you go.
That would take me back.
You and Bill hang out at Nando's. I think
Oh,
that's
cheeky
a
Nando's.
cheeky Nando's. Uh, yeah, I'm sure
Oh,
that's where you hang out. So
yeah, absolutely. All right. So going ahead, I'm looking long term now. The likes of Paredes, Nyman, Yao, Soga, and Pines, are they the future for the club?
Eric Sorga is not the future for the club. I think I can confidently say that. I think I can.
No, not even his fashion sense.
That exclusively. I think you always need a little like Eastern European, Central European, like Eurotrash vibe, like Italio disco. Like I think you need some of that in MLS. We don't have it, so maybe from that perspective, there have been players in the past, style icons of DC United, that were able to do that. But yeah, do I think that they're the future, or do I think that they're the now? I think they're cop out answer, but both.
Yeah,
I think on a team that the team that's built the way this one is built, with the horizon that this team has, which is low, it's time to see where they're at. I don't think you'll hurt them by exposing them at this point.
no,
They're young, but I think they're good enough to not completely have their confidence blown by playing in MLS and doing poorly. I think they're different there. I think they're old enough for that. So I think, yeah, we're going to see a lot of them, the way this team is shaped up, and the way, being told that this team isn't looking to spend money, with all the injuries, there's no choice but to see them. So it's a net redounds to the positive for the future of this team, for them to play in 2020,
yeah,
much as they're playing. What do you think?
I, I'm on the same boat as you both. I think the fact that they're getting game time now, that's the situation that we're in, and the fact that we've got these games coming up. I think that we're going to get game time anyway. But the fact that we've got so many injuries now, we are going to see the likes of Paredes continuing to start. I think he'll get another start tomorrow night. I think Yao might even be in the running to get some game time. I think we need to drop Segura, because as this much of a Swiss Army knife as he is, he's not there at the top. He's not the kind of player. I think Yao would be better played up top than out on the wing in this situation. Or even Sorga, because when he came on, he did look decent. He was getting in the right positions. It's
All right,
just
well, you're more bullish on Sorga than I am. That's fine. That's not
yeah.
That would be the first time.
Again, always on the optimistic side of things.
Yeah, no, you gotta be, man. If
Yeah.
you were not, there's no way that you could follow this team from the distance that you're. If you were like a beat down, pessimistic guy, there's no way you're getting up and as late as you are to watch this team. It's not possible. Unless you were getting like secretly paid. There's no way that you would do that. So, I think your optimism suits you for this.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Sorga, once he gets his first goal, I think we'll actually see a lot more coming from him, because he looks like the kind of guy, just from seeing on his Instagram and in Twitter, he's a confident bloke. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that fashion sense, you've got to have some confidence to even go out and wear that kind of stuff. Once he gets that first goal on the pitch, I think then we'll see that same confidence off the pitch, on the pitch, and I think that will do him the world of good, and he could easily be a double-digit goal scorer.
Whoa!
I know. Bold claims right there.
That's like Ted was saying Ola Kamara was going to score 18 goals this year. So I'm.
Oh, whoa! I'm not that optimistic.
Well, I'm surrounded by optimists apparently. Yeah, I think that he scores worldies, and whenever they show clips from training, he's putting him in there. But I think I don't know. He's obviously going to get. I think that they'll probably give him a full normal season.
Yeah.
So his contract is probably at least 2 years. So we'll see. I think we should get a look at him this year, because why not?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you give him a run? But I think that
exactly.
potentially he might be dependent on having a team around him that's functioning a little bit better than this one is right now. I don't know. I'd love to ask him. Have you had Eric Sorga on your show?
I need to work that one
out.
It's a
race.
I think.
Let's see.
Sam and Zach, when you watch this back,
flip a coin, see which one.
Or let's have them both on both
We could do
functions.
this. We could do this and have a
Exactly.
three. Yes, I think that sounds good. Let's
I
do it.
want to ask him about his fashion sense because
Yes.
it's been a few times on this show from other players who said he's got the worst fashion sense.
The pictures seem to say that he has a lot of belief in whatever he's wearing. And
Yes.
and if we do this, I will pretend that I was never negative on him, and I will assume he will have never listened to any of my shows. So that's how it goes. Eric, I've always been your biggest booster. I've always said double-digit goals, and it's really just in your opportunity. So thanks for being on the show. That's what. That's
I
all.
would love to know if any of the players actually listen back to these
Oh, they
shows.
do. Oh, yes, they do.
Oh,
They do.
we did.
It is. There's a. We'll get a little inside baseball here for the listeners here, but the the size of MLS and USL and sort of the lack of media exposure leads these players and their parents to listen to the podcast, to read the blogs. They'll comment. They'll become Patreon subscribers. It is unlike any. There's no other sports where fan podcasts are being listened to by, like, Bryce Harper wasn't listening to the Nats podcast. Like, he does not have the time for that. But I will bet you that Bill Hamid has been on our show, and he's been on other shows. But I bet you in a quiet moment, he checks out his podcast subs and is like, you know what?
Yep.
What do they think about this game? Because that man is a Twitter name searcher. So if he does that, he's probably listening to the podcasts.
I mean, I'm so jealous you've got Bill on because I've said it before on my show. Bill is my all-time favorite DC United player, and as a goalkeeper myself, I would love to have him on.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because he's grown up here. So I told him that I used to write about DC United, and I had at the time had I never figured out who it was. An anonymous source inside the team would send me heads up on stuff, and I beat my one journalistic claim to fame, and it's not really journalism because I had a source who told me, but I beat Steve Goff to Bill Hamid's initial signing, so I got that out. So that link was first.
Oh, wow.
Did he give me credit? Of course he didn't. That has been a thing for him for a long time. That's fine. I don't care. It's fine.
Okay.
But he has grown up and matured so much. Listening to him speak now versus listening to him speak as an 18-year-old, which is obvious, but like it's interesting to see someone grow in that way and sort of evolve and care about different things. It's neat. And he was a great interview. We're looking to have him on. We only had him on for a short time. I think it was before training or something for a game, so it was like a real quick thing. But we'd love to have him on for a longer period and really get into the history here. He's the longest serving. I think he and Birnbaum are the longest tenured players, but I think He's actually over him. So
fingers crossed.
They listen. Do an IG live. Another hint for you: do an IG live. And I did one I've done several now with Ryan Martin.
Yes.
Every time, half of his team is watching the video because they want to see if he's saying something about him. Every time. I was talking about Ted Cudipietro, and as I said his name, it popped up, and he did the wave on it. I was like, all right. So this is you're playing with live fire when you're a podcast for not a niche sport, but like a more locally followed team.
Yep.
They're listening.
So that's the next thing. If you're a player and you're watching this now,
that's right.
Comment.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think so. We're gonna both agree that the youth is for the now and for the future.
Yep.
God, that sounds very political.
Well,
for the now and for the future.
I think if we have to choose, let's go with future then, because the now is there's no output coming in the now. Yeah. But we're gonna find if we're gonna be a team that matters in MLS 3.0, at least one of these players has to be a dependable week in and week out starter, because there's this is the cupboard. The cupboard is here. Those 4 players, and if none of them work out, you got to wait another 3 or 4 years for the next Loud United crop to go to this level. So fingers crossed.
Going forward, even further into the future than that, the fact that we've got Loudon United, I think we won't have to keep waiting 3 or 4 years for the next crop. I think we'll start slowly getting a consistent intake of players.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge for them, right? Like, I think that there's, Ryan has said Coach Martin has said, like it's a 2-track system of having to develop talent and trying to win. And they're not going to be a team that's going to have the money to compete with the Pittsburghs, the Hartfords, the teams that are spending actual money for actual players.
Yeah.
And because of that, I feel like it's harder for a player to differentiate themselves at the USL level enough to get a look in to DC United. Elvis Mo is having a great season thus far for a team that Loudon is not winning games right now. But Elvis has done well. He scored goals. Is he a player that could potentially at least be a body so that we're not short 17 and we're not dressing all of the players we can dress? That would be great. I think this year the challenge is I think that they're trying to keep the rosters separate as much as possible for COVID reasons. So I think maybe in a different year where you're able to move more freely up and down, you would see that. But I think that I'm optimistic only in terms of, I think Coach Martin is a good coach. I think he does a good job at connecting with young players. I think that they need to spend a little bit more money, though. I think providing talent around the young players to facilitate. They're taking a lot of they've moved into there's a Amastafa, I believe, from the Gabon national team. There's lots of players. They're reaching the world reach is like very wide, but I feel like there's also value into paying for your Kyle Murphys, paying for your USL veterans, your Dane Kellys. That if you're talking about how do we build a midfielder that can give service to a great forward for DC United, is you need some part of that down there. So I think it'll take a while before they're really able to be a conveyor belt of talent, I think is the way I feel about it.
Fair. I think we'll wrap it up because we're coming up to the 90-minute mark.
Jeez, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. That's the kind of length I like in a podcast.
We're just about to start making our shows a lot shorter. You're an RFK Refugees listener. Get ready for a substantially shorter show until this team gets good.
This is what I love about having guests on each week, is the fact that we can just chat, and it just goes on, and next thing you know, you're an hour and a half in, and you're thinking, oh wow,
and your wife is upstairs thinking, are you going to come up for dinner at any time? What's happening? Like, how long?
My wife's thinking, are you going to come upstairs and go to bed?
Right, exactly.
Because it's right now 10:30 in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what happens over here in the UK. We're doing a DC United podcast. Let's wrap things up. So, John, where can people follow? Obviously, the RFK Refugees. Yeah. Where can they subscribe and all that jazz?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. If you're still listening at the end of this 90-minute marathon, thank you. This is the I always think about that. You always do the plugs at the end, like
yes.
Anyway,
we should do them at the beginning, shouldn't we?
You should. Everyone should. I think that's a change we need to make.
Yeah.
We're at RFK Refugees on Twitter, on Instagram. We broadcast every week Monday night at 8:30, I think, on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, everything. I think all the things, anything that could be we're on that. On Wednesday nights, usually we do an Instagram show. We're not gonna do, we usually do a player interview on Wednesday night. We're gonna do a halftime show instead. With I think probably I won't say who it is yet, just in case we don't do it. I don't want to blow her up. But make sure you're following us on Instagram, and that's probably it. Yeah, we're everywhere. Just look for RFK Refugees. We're on everything that you could possibly search us on.
Nice. And before I do my little plugs, I've got to plug in another podcast, which is the MLS UK show, who are the show sponsors. Thank you for paying for some of the stuff that I use. It's always nice. You can find them at MLS UK Show on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They've just recently launched a new clothing line called the Get In, which is, if you ever listen to the show, one of the presenters, Elliot, says Get In a lot whenever Orlando City win, because yes, he supports Orlando City.
So he used to not say that very often, you're saying?
No.
He's saying it more now.
He's saying it more now this season, and the fact that they got their first ever win against Atlanta United.
Did he make a commemorative t-shirt for that?
That's what this first t-shirt's all about.
Love it. I love it.
It's absolutely fantastic.
That's like Arsenal fans making DVDs every time they beat Chelsea.
Absolutely. So go and check them out. I've also got a website, mls.show. say hi from me, and all that jazz. For me, if you're not following me on Twitter, it's at DC United Kingdom. Instagram and Facebook, I had to use at DC United Kingdom FC because DC United Kingdom was already used. Thank you, DC Comics.
The
And
bane of our existence, right?
oh no, the hashtag DCU is like
Oh, they're jerks.
soccer, 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 and then a whole load of DC Comics.
Yep.
You're like, really?
You got to go through and block all the accounts. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah. Head over to the website. The link is in the description. There's a membership thing, so if you want to join the group, you're more than welcome to. It's free to do so. I also do merch as well, so click on the merchandise link that should be in the description. If I've not, I'm sorry. Click on the website. The link is there. And that's about it from me. So let's wrap this up. Thank you, John. And as I always end the show,